Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another live stream on an English view on Porto, and it'll be just me today. However, I will potentially be accepting fans to come on and join, seeing as I have no guests lined up for tonight. That will probably also mean that we'll only do between 20 and 30 minutes. So, I think I'll talk about 15 minutes on Porto, and then see where we're at from there. So yeah, and so far Porto have definitely improved a lot in the last 3.5 games, as a matter of fact, because yeah, we did let a good game slip against Benfica, but then we did well against Stuttgart away. We did very well against Moreirense at home, and yeah, so we did concede a lot of chances to Stuttgart, but it was still a good enough performance to keep us in a position to not lose. And our goal scorers showed up, Gomez and Froholt. What a goal that was! To actually be to have the intensity to go for the ball, and actually the willingness to get it back when once Stuttgart's centre back had the ball, but then to win it back and then score the goal he did. Fantastic stuff. And then following that win, that meant that Porto were ultimately going to play Nottingham Forest again, this time in the quarter-final, and I'm excited. And it'll probably be harder to get a ticket for the away end than it was last time, but I'll still make a good go of it. And Nottingham Forest have looked very different, and since we've last played them, it's been a roller coaster of a season for them. So I think that'll pose some new challenges, but we shall discuss more on that come the time of the stream. And I think there's reason to be optimistic um, as to maybe you go all the way, because Porto have managed to address a concern I had in the Europa League, and that was whether they'd be good enough away. And because Stuttgart are a competitive side in Bundesliga, that's given me some hope, some assurance that we can definitely compete in the quarters and the semis. But I'll talk a bit more on the league, and thoughts are also welcome in the comments as well. I That win against Moreirense, 3-0, absolutely fantastic. We saw the best of Oscar Petrusevski. Well, I don't know necessarily the best, but he showed up. He scored a very good goal, and could have had another before his first goal, but the shot was saved, and Gabri Vega then put it in on the rebound. So I think Inca very and hardly conceded a shot from Moreirense all game, and this is a side that, yeah, they'd only won 1 in 5 games before playing Porto, but on the other hand, they were kind of overachieving this season. They were quite high up in the standings for a fair amount of time, and even when Porto were at the height of their powers this season, they barely managed to beat Moreirense. They managed to come from behind to get the win, and that wasn't so much down to the fact that Porto have been average and they were they were doing the minimum to get the win. Moreirense actually did play well then, and forced Porto to have to play well in order to get that win in. And going back to here, I think Porto hardly, if at all, put a foot wrong, because they didn't really allow Moreirense to have many chances. They had some good chances where the misses weren't bad. The 2 of the goals were well taken. Vega had brilliant inks on the other goal. Also shout out William Gomez's goal, fantastic stuff. And I think where Porto are at the moment is the midfield depth is fantastic. Being able to rotate that entire midfield from the Moreirense game to the Stuttgart game and play a completely different midfield whilst still okay. It didn't quite go as well as that midfield did when they played away at Stuttgart, but I think it's still kind of promising signs that we're not reliant on certain individuals. Like you could have Varela or Rosario playing defensive midfield, and we'd be perfectly happy with it. I mean, Holt's always going to be in our best midfield, but if Fofana's playing, he's usually doing a good job, and then Vega and Mora tend to be competing. So yeah, and in the attack, we're starting to see William Gomez score a bit more. Also Pietraszewski's having previously been our like only goal scoring winger before last week. But there's an improvement there as well, and I think in kind of ideal circumstances, our best front three would be William Gomez, Tyrone Moffey, and Oscar Pietraszewski, which another note, congratulations on being called up to Poland. And he's I didn't think it would come this soon, but he's definitely earned it. Some of the goals he scored, excellent. And some of the footwork he's done in order to do that, excellent as well. I mean, it's not ideal the fact that he's not available to play in the Europa League, but on the plus side, it means it's a chance to make the most of him, get the most out of him when he plays in the league, and therefore give us the best chance of going on to win the title. And so, yeah, and then sort of the other thing that in other defense, ideally it's usually Alberto Costa, Jan Bednarek on that right half of the defense. Then do you go Thiago Silva? Do you go Kivior? Do you put Kivior at left back? It's kind of hard to tell. Zaidi Sanusi has been performing well at left back lately as well, especially against Stuttgart. I'll predict my lineup towards the end of the stream, and I think we're in the best place we can going into this game. I'll share my screen just to give a bit more of a visual recap on how the recent games were. Let's go look at the fixtures right here. So this win was able to put Porto 7 points clear at the top of the table, albeit Sporting CP didn't play the weekend. They still got an extra game, so I'd have to check exactly who they've got, but most likely they should probably win that and extend the gap to 4 points. But though Benfica aren't completely out of it, I think Porto have got a very good chance to get to up 2 in a matter of time. I think I counted it as well, and the most that Benfica can do is get 86 points. So if Porto surpass that, then and in the case of Sporting CP, they can get 89, I think. So if Porto surpass that, they're definitely champions. But I think the players I'm certainly excited to watch this weekend from Porto would be Petrusevski. I mean, I don't think Gomez is going to start, but I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. And then Froholt. I think what we'll likely see from E is that in the short term we are going to see a bit of rotation on Gould and Moffey, but I think long term Moffey's going to play more at the role as striker because he's had a bit more goal involvement than Dennis Gould has as of recent games. So yeah, it's not going to be easy this game, but going off the last 3.5 games, I'm optimistic that Porto can deliver a performance, even if the performance doesn't necessarily result in a win. And last season, Porto went there, lost to Braga. So yeah, and let's start to talk about Braga now, because they didn't play over the weekend, but they did play in the Europa League, and I did watch that game, especially with this stream in mind. And when they played Ferencváros, well, they lost the home leg, but then second leg, I mean, it wasn't a contest really, apart from like kind of a section in the second half where Ferencváros had like a couple of opportunities at 3-0 down to equal the tie, but Braga's attacking quality just looked much better. Horta was excellent this game, and Groff had a hard time keeping out a lot of the shots that Braga were firing on goal. Then another result they had recently, just before the El Clasico, they managed to hold Sporting CP to a draw, and scored another late penalty. It's like deja vu in the reverse fixture when they got a last-minute penalty that they scored away at Sporting CP. Yeah, and I'm gonna have a sip. So as I was about to say, as Paolo had referenced this on a past stream where Braga have been doing well against the better sides recently. They of course they got 2 draws against Sporting CP. They've beaten Benfica, or did they? I'll just check if what the result was in the league, because I'm confident they didn't lose to Benfica. They did knock no matter what you think of it, they did manage to also knock Benfica out in the Taça de Liga with an impressive away result. Okay, in the league they drew 2-2, but they were a man down. But they've shown that they've been able to compete against the better sides, and why they're not further up the table is because they haven't done as well against the sides lower in the leagues. It's like when they've drawn away to 3-3 to Estrela Amadora, lost to Estoril. They've had a few results where they haven't done as well. But referencing back to the last fixture when they played Porto, they competed well. It took a late goal for Porto to actually to get the win, but it's just another example of this season they've done better against the stronger teams, and then they have the sides that they're more expected to beat. And I think we're seeing a bit of that in the Europa League as well. And then let's have a look at players to look out for, because there are a few. And of course, Ricardo Horta is the first name. He's been involved in he scored he scored 2 of the goals on Wednesday, and I believe he has been Braga's top scorer this season. He's definitely been up there. Let's have a look. Okay, it's not him, but he's certainly been involved a lot this season. Yeah, Horta's actually second, and in fact he's got the most goals in the league for Braga. And Rodrigo Salazar's another player to look out for. Currently the top scorer in all competitions. He also scored that penalty against Sporting CP to earn a draw. And then there's João Moutinho, who won the Europa League with us and played at a few other clubs like Wolves and Monaco. Paul Victor, Gabri Martinez too is another good option as a striker. So and also Victor Gomez, and let's see how Hornacek can do as well. He's a pretty good goalkeeper too. So yeah, we have our first comment from John G. Des. Good to have you on here. But yeah, I think this is a good Braga team, and I expect we are going to get a good game on them. And going away isn't going to be easy, and in fact they have demonstrated it against other teams, and even though they haven't won against the big three in the league this season, they've demonstrated that they're capable, and they did even beat Benfica in the Taça de Liga, as I mentioned earlier. And when their backs was against the wall in the Europa League, they managed to beat Nottingham Forest and put themselves in a position to then secure a top 8 place in the Europa League. So I don't think they're going to get beyond 4th place, but I think they'll do fine. But they certainly are a good side. Let's get the table back up. Yeah, they're a long way off Benfica, but I think they should have enough to finish 4th place. That will likely take them to Conference League, unless Portugal do earn a 3rd Champions League spot, judging by what happens in the current UEFA competitions this season. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. And as for how do I think the game's going to go, well, it's I think I don't expect Porto to be too open. Like if they kick off at the start, they'll probably do their usual routine where they fly players forward for that at first chance. But I think it's going to be pragmatic, calculated. Look for that first opportunity. I think we'll get some chances. We'll have certain moments, but again, we can't allow Horta, Salazar, Victor the spaces to cause problems and create their own chances, especially on the counter. But I think also having a fresh midfield will definitely help Porto's chances, and I mean, Braga themselves didn't play so that their team was fresh when they played, but still, effectively the midfield, apart from like Froholt to an extent, to as they'll be in good condition to then go again. So I think that does help our chances to win the midfield battle. So yeah, I think certainly the front three is the biggest worry in terms of the damage that they could do to us. But I also do believe in Porto to also be dangerous with their own chances. And Braga do have some good defenders, but it's not. But I don't. But Porto, I'm still confident in what Porto can do. It's nice to see an English channel about FC Porto. Are you Portuguese? Apart from potentially being related to Vasco da Gama, which one of my great grandparents has a theory, and there's some other reasons possibly supporting that. I'm fully English, but I may have some Portuguese ancestry, but that didn't influence my support for Porto because Vasco da Gama was from the other side of Portugal. But yeah, nonetheless, this is also worth noting that this is like the last time that Porto are going to play one of the big 3.5 in the league, because we played both the Lisbon teams twice, having 1-1 and drawn 3, and we faced Braga at the start towards in the first half of the season, where we got that narrow win. So if we manage to win on Sunday, then I think that's gonna be probably the biggest statement we can make with these remaining games. But I think it's gonna be it's sort of like the last chance we can get 3 points from one of the teams higher up in the table, which I think will definitely help. Sporting CP and Benfica still have to play each other in April, and then Benfica have Braga at home. So yeah, but it is possible that maybe Porto draw and they just use whatever's left to get themselves the points that they need. I'm going to go to the lineups now, and where I predict the Porto lineup. I think Diogo Costa is going to be in goal. I think Alberto Costa will stay in at right back, although maybe Martin Fernandez starts. But I'm going to stick with Alberto Costa because this is the hardest fixture that in the league that Porto are going to get, and also there's a week. Porto will have a week off next week, so it's not like he'll need to be rested for any upcoming games. So I think he'll go to the bench. And Bednarek's played three full 90 minutes, and he's then going to go to international duty. So he plays most of the time, but I think Thiago Silva will start this time, and Jakub Kivior too. And Aida Sanusi has performed well lately, and he didn't even play the whole 90 minutes against Stuttgart, so I think he'll keep his place at left back. I think Froholt and Varela are going to come in, and the fact that Gabri Vega didn't start against Stuttgart, I don't think he came on, in fact, and he did well against Moreirense. I think he will be back to play against Braga, and then front three. I do believe Gomez is our best option at right wing at the moment, but given that Pepe didn't start against Stuttgart, I think he'll play on the right, and Gomez will be a potential substitute. In fact, he'll probably come on in the second half. I think, and Oscar Piszczynski surely is going to play on the left, and I think Dennis Gould probably starts on at striker. I'll check if Mofi played a full 90 minutes against Stuttgart, because I may consider picking. No, yeah, he played a full 90 minutes. So yeah, I think Gould starts, but Mofi comes on as a substitute. He played for 90, yeah, and mentions so here too. He was very tired. Yeah, so I think he'll still feature to some capacity against Braga, but unless Dennis gets a goal or maybe two, then otherwise I think Mofi probably has some sort of involvement. So my predicted lineup: Diogo, Alberto, Thiago Silva, Jakub Kivior, Zaidu Sanusi, Froholt, Varela, Vega, and my front three. I think it'll start with Pepe, Gould, and Piszczynski on the left end. Also, now we're going to go to predictions. I don't know I don't know Braga entirely enough to predict their 11, but I expect we'll see Victor, Salazar, Horta, and what was that defender that just slipped my mind? Gomez. I think they'll play, as I think Hornacek will also play. But yeah, give your score predictions as to what do you think the game's going to go. Now, initially, I was thinking of going into this and predicting a 1-1, but I'm conflicted on two scores. I think, thinking about it and considering that we're not going to get any other kind of rivalish teams in the rest of the season, I think we'll kind of Uh, I think Porto just about get a 2-1 win. I think we're going to see Braga put Porto under pressure with some of with chances. I think the game's going to be as if it will finish 1-1 or 2-2. But I think Porto will find something late through maybe Gomez or Mofi or maybe one of the midfielders, and I think we'll just about win. So yeah, and maybe we catch out Braga whilst if they're getting too greedy or or they haven't made the most of the momentum they have. So yeah, I'm going to predict a 2-1 away win. Maybe my head's leaning a bit more towards a draw, but I'm also thinking this is the last team near the top of the table that we've got to play. So I think we'll just about do it. It's going to be difficult because Braga on Europa League had a nice comeback, so they will be very, very excited to get the 3 points. That is a good point. And that win's going to give them confidence to then apply that same sort of energy and performance against our lot. I hope you're right on the 2-1 win. Well, I'll take any win. But and I'm sure the rest of us will too. Feel free to leave any more final thoughts before or start rounding it off. So that's pretty much about it. I probably only need to do about half the length of a typical stream when I'm just doing English ease on my own. Thanks again to everyone that's got involved, and to those watching on the replay. Leave me your thoughts. How do you think the game's going to go? What do you think the score's going to be? And the likes definitely help, and as do the subscribing. All interactions very much appreciated. I also do watch-alongs? I haven't done one in a while. I did 2 during the Club World Cup, and I did a live stream for the Red Bull Salzburg game. I have considered it a few times, but I think there's a possibility I might then do it again. I think if there's the demand, then that makes it easier. But certainly the last stream I didn't get much, didn't really get many people around. But I think if I see a game where it's like there's at least some interest in terms of like the fixture itself, then I might even do one for this game, because given that the fixture has some sort of, I was going to say weight, but I don't know if that's, yeah. I think also I think I'll do, for any chance of a watch along. It'll likely be when I'm home, which, to be fair, I am home for most of the Porto games, but I think also, yeah, I'll probably do I'll probably do a watch along for either Braga or for Macau, and then Europa League. That does seem kind of ideal for me to do watch alongs for that, but because they're against English teams, then they're definitely going to be shown in the pubs, and therefore I'm going to want to get. I'm more likely to go to that, and then also if I can get a ticket for Forest away. But yeah, I will certainly. I think one or two more at least one will come within this season. Yeah, I see. Well, I'm not sure all the players are available. Rodrigo Mora is injured, but the team might be the usual main 11 without Samu or Luke De Jong, not the ones who played against Stuttgart. I think at least one of the. I think you will certainly see one of Bednarek or Thiago Silva. Probably Thiago Silva because he's played less. But yeah, Porto will win, my guys. Yep. Good. I love the optimism, and we'll hope you're right. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, all interactions very much appreciated. I have thought I may do some content of some kind during the international break, or see how things go and what ideas I come up with, and I'll of course be doing a match reflection of after the Braga game, and I'll likely do a video previewing for Famalicão vs Porto as well. Actually, I think Porto are at home for that one, so but still, and then I will be doing another live preview for the Nottingham Forest game where Red Side of the Trent will be back on and previewing that game with me. And let's look at some final comments before I end things. I think Thiago Oca's he wasn't called up by Brazil. That's a good point. Right, but yes, once again, all interactions is appreciated. More content will be coming out in April, and maybe end of March too. And we've got a good game coming up this weekend that hopefully Porto can get another win and further strengthen their place at the top. And all thoughts are very, very much welcome, and do get them in if you're watching on the replay. And until the next time, Forza Porto.